So who are you?
I'm Bruce Sarkwick.
And what have you done with your life?
Quite a bit here at this Plato convention, and my main thing that I'm known for, I guess, is Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and other computer graphics stuff. I've formed a couple of companies, Sublogic Corporation, back in the early microcomputer era, probably 1977 or so, out in Los Angeles, and then eventually brought it all back to Champaign, Illinois, that's where I went to school, and home of Plato. And,
Tell me, what role did Plato play in getting you to develop Flight Simulator?
well, not a real lot. Some of the technology that Plato created, though, was used at aviation research laboratories. That's where I did my master's thesis. And back then, there wasn't a lot of, there weren't many addressable screens, any screens that had raster graphics. Most of the displays were either vector-oriented or other kinds of technology, and that really was the future. And we had some computers, Raytheon 704 and PDP-11, that was attached to a Plato plasma panel, which is 512 by 512 resolution, and that allowed us to do kind of raster graphics, and that's sort of the foundation of all computer graphics these days. So I guess you could say that technology helped out, and that was from Plato. So.
I had a chance when I worked at Microsoft to play with Flight Simulator 1.0.
Oh, wow.
And it's so different than today's Flight Simulator, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what the screen looked like, because it just had a few lines on it, right?
Right. Well, we were working with processors that were so weak and not powerful and displays that were so low resolution. We could only do a few lines of graphics at a time in a real-time mode. So with 1 megahertz 6502, it just was too much to do dynamic graphics. So we had to keep it simple. But we realized that even a few lines were enough to give you a sense of movement. And as the technology increased, according to Moore's law, every 18 months, the processing power and graphics got that much doubled in strength, and graphics accordingly. So I mean, it's gotten to where it is now, where it's photorealistic. I think in 1992 was when, on version 5, was when we really had a breakthrough as far as reality goes.
Yeah. What a wild time, to see the development of a technology from such an early phase to a fairly matured phase. Where do you think it's going from here?
Well, that's a good question. And I always thought, I wondered what would happen once we really had photorealism. And I mean, you can keep refining that to the nth degree, but it's not going to look a whole lot different than it does now. I mean, you can get smoother graphics, and using graphics accelerators now, of course, you do get smoother graphics. But, multiple screens and stuff, people have done that. I really think one area that hasn't been really addressed in flight simulation, and I thought about even making a company that would do this, is having an enclosed small, cockpits that you could have, in your basement, but not that looks like a cockpit from the outside. Just something small that has some of the motion, and that gives the effects of acceleration.
Like a little hydraulic seat or something like that?
Well, I was thinking with stepping motors, not hydraulics.
Okay.
And I know back in the late 90s, I'd mentioned some of this to people at Microsoft when they were buying my company, but there's no real interest in it. I think having flown real flight simulators at Boeing and other places, Flight Safety and Simuflight, that it's just so much fun having the motion and the feel of flying. And I think you can really get that with an enclosed, as long as you're enclosed, and you can use tilting to simulate G-forces, you can really get some amazing feelings. And no one's really exploited that. And I think that's a fairly good direction that could be
Now, if anything,
pursued.
we're going the other way with the iPad. You turn the iPad to
Oh yeah,
control it, right?
well yeah, with that and with sound, as I'm kind of a music fan too. And the old big stereos, the good audiophile quality. You compare those to everybody who listens to iPods and stuff these days. It's like it's gone in the other direction. So. But, the graphics was the thing that I was mostly interested in. I think that's been really reached a mature state right now.
Why Flight Simulator? Why did you go down flights? Why didn't you develop a shoot 'em up video game or something else? With the graphics technology you had.
Well, I was a pilot, and I was always interested in flying and computers, and this was a good combination of the two. But also in flying flight simulators and the research work that I've done at Aviation Research Labs. Flying flight simulator, real flight simulator with the graphics, I knew it was just so much fun, And I gave a talk once at a convention about my 3D graphics packages that I was selling at the time, and I mentioned that this could be used in a flight simulator that you could, on your microcomputer go flying around with, and the audience just gasped. I could hear them say, "Ah!" So I knew I had something there, so I thought I might as well pursue it because the microcomputers at the time were as powerful as the mini computers that we had at Aviation Research Labs. So I put together something, and there was a good audience for it out there, and I just went down that road. And for a while we had some kind of shoot 'em up stuff in Flight Simulator. The first version had a game called World War I Ace, and of course we made program called Jet, which was F-18s, F-16s, and those were quite popular. But just the fun of flying was what I was after, and but others pursued the real shoot 'em up games.
Did you know that the 3D modes in Google Maps was developed by a team that came out of the Flight Simulator group? So you've even influenced.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Great.
even influenced 3D stuff into Google Maps.
Yeah, well, I've heard that there's been projects that people have done to try and get Google Earth and Google Maps information and transform it into Flight Simulator compatible scenery, but that hasn't been so successful, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good to know. Great.
Well, it's an honor meeting you. And do you have a website or a blog or a Twitter account or anything like that where we can talk with you or follow you or see what you're doing?
Well, my last company was BAO.com, and I have that domain, BAO.com, but all I have is some personal stuff there, and if you go there, you won't see anything. So,
Very cool.
I've kind of been taking a break from it. After working on Flight Simulator for 20 years. So.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciated playing it for several hours of my life, so thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.